high tier travel cards, the Amex Platinum, Chase Sapphire Reserve. Are they worth the cost? And how do you figure out if you're getting the value to actually justify it?
I think it's all about if you are absolutely exploiting the benefits. Go through the website and see what all the benefits are and ask yourself, do I get XYZ dollar amount? I think it's like $795 of value every year. Being able to go and get a meal at the airport lounge before I have to get on my flight. Let's call that $15. Ask yourself, how many times a year am I using these things? And does it make up for the fee? There's a lot of other stuff that doesn't necessarily have a tangible fee, but is something that you should think about.
Hey everyone, welcome to Her Money. I'm Jean Chatzky. We are so excited to have Vivian Tu back to take us through all of your questions on credit cards and points hacking. All right, this was a little me search, I gotta say, Vivian, because I hit that point and I'm really good with my points. Like I do not pay to fly when I'm not flying for business. I always use points pretty much. But I hit the point where I was like, how did I get so many credit cards in my wallet? It is time to pare down. We've also got listener questions on everything from maximizing travel rewards to upgrading your cards without hurting your credit score. And I do want to mention, I never pay interest, by the way. It's just, too many fees. Anyway, so let's start with this question. And this one, again, is from me. I have been wondering about the high-tier travel cards, the Amex Platinum, Chase Sapphire Reserve, Citi Prestige, Capital One Venture X. Are they worth the cost, and are multiples worth the cost? Should you have more than one of these? How do you figure out if you're getting the value to actually justify it?
I think it's all about if you are absolutely exploiting the benefits. I would actually go through the intro document or even just the website if you don't have the paperwork that you got when you got those cards anymore. Go through the website and see what all the benefits are and ask yourself, do I get XYZ dollar amount? I think it's like $795, $695, $395 for some of those cards that you listed of value every year. And I assign a certain value to certain things. So being able to go and get a meal at the airport lounge before I have to get on my flight. Let's call that $15. I think about how many times I'm doing that per year. And then I know, for example, the Amex Platinum has a travel portal where if you book through their fine hotels and resorts, you get a complimentary upgrade. If, the hotel can swing it, you get a $100 resort credit so that you can spend on food and bev or a spa or whatever. You get, some sort of welcome amenity, what have you. We'll call that $150 if that's worth it to you. Ask yourself, how many times a year am I using these things? And does it make up for the fee? There's a lot of other stuff that doesn't necessarily have a tangible fee, but is something that you should think about. For example, I believe the Chase Sapphire Reserve has like auto protection when you get a loaner car, when you go to Hertz or an Avis or something. They'll ask you at the desk, they're like, would you like to buy, the car insurance for the next 3 days? And it costs a certain amount of money. I don't want to even ballpark what it is. I haven't rented a car in a minute now. But think about what that is. And if you don't have to buy that, that is money back in your pocket. So think about that. Think about, I know Amex has a item warranty. This is like so weird to explain. So like basically if you buy something, it's like purchase protection. If you buy something on that Amex and it gets like completely destroyed within like 90 days. A perfect example of this is Brian Kelly, the points guy. He's a friend of mine. His son, who is a toddler, Sharpied all over the back of a dining chair, like a dining room table chair. And he was like, so this isn't going to come out. And then he contacts Amex and he explains the situation. Amex has purchase protection. He got reimbursed for the cost of that one chair, was able to get a new one, and all good. No problem. Like the Sharpie was not the end of the story. Many of these cards actually have phone protection. So if you buy your phone and pay for your phone bill on them, they'll actually replace the phone if you like smash it and it falls out of your pocket and like shatters into 1,000 pieces. So think about all of those benefits. Think of the ones that you're actually taking advantage of. Some of these may not apply to you. But if you are getting those benefits, whether it be Uber and Lyft credits, DoorDash credits, like all of these things, add them up and see if it's worth it to you. If you are not taking full advantage, it is not. For one person, they may be paying $695 a year for a credit card and getting $2,000 worth of value. Win-win. For someone else, they might not travel enough or use enough of these apps that they're not getting the value and they should cancel the card. And more realistically, they should downgrade the card.
Amazing. How many of these cards do you have? Like the Uber cards?
The super special cards, I have two. So I
Okay.
have the Amex Platinum and I have the Chase Sapphire Reserve. But I also have some, I would say less exciting credit cards in my wallet that I got earlier and that I'm never going to close because I enjoy having a very long credit history.
Yes, a good idea. I have Chase Sapphire Reserve, but I downgraded the Amex Platinum to Amex Gold many years ago because I wasn't using it. So
Right.
there we go. Okay, here's a question from Yajera. She writes, I am looking for the best travel card out there. We charge everything. We pay it off every 2 weeks, so I want to make the most of the benefits. We travel once a year overseas to visit family, and then we do a few shorter trips in the U.S. throughout the year. And once I've earned all those points, what's the smartest way to use them? How do you really get the most bang for the buck?
Ooh, okay. So unless you are a points aficionado and have the time to have like 80 tabs open and are comparing things, which by the way, many people do, I would just recommend you either use a site or a service. So there is a website called seats.aero. And on this website, you basically put in how many points you have on a certain credit card or a certain loyalty program, and it can show you a bunch of award redemptions, and then you can compare which are the more worth it for you. Another service that does this is like a point.me. If you want, you can use their service and like they'll show you the best redemptions based on what you have. Or if you pay $200, somebody will just do it for you. And again, we talked earlier about buying your time back. I don't have the time necessarily to like sit for 6 hours, compare, and make sure that I'm getting the best deal. $200 feels like a small fee to pay for someone to have really done that. And instead of spending 150,000 points, maybe I get to spend 50,000 points and I get to save the other extra 100,000, and that's money back in my pocket again. So I would say based on what you need and how much time you have, and frankly, what kind of travel you're hoping to do, I would recommend using one of these aggregator websites. Typically, like using them baseline is free. And then if you want like, concierge white glove service, you pay for those. But it'll help you essentially just figure out, what's worth your money.
Yeah, I subscribed to Point.me after paying them the $200 to do some tickets last year. I figured, all right, let me see if I can figure it out myself. I think I paid $80 for the year. I've definitely more than gotten my money out of it, and I find it really, really easy to maneuver, not difficult, and I'm not like the best at this. I also think for somebody like her, depending on where you live, I mean, I have just gone all in on American Airlines, right? I have the credit card, I have I have the business credit card. And in part, that's because when you fly out of Philadelphia, which is where I live, if you're not on American Airlines, it's like a weird day in February, right? Because it goes everywhere you have to go. And so for me, that has just made the most sense.
Yeah, I think it really depends. Like exactly to your point, if you know you're flying out of a specific hub constantly, say you live in Chicago, United owns you.
Yeah.
Right? If you are constantly flying out of one of the New York airports, Delta probably owns you. Newark, New Jersey, United. South Florida, American. Like there are definitely hubs for these certain airlines, but I would say that based on your flight patterns, you can make a smart decision of do I get an airline credit card versus a more, I would say, overarching program. The reason why I don't have a specific airline loyalty card is because I have status, quote unquote, on every single airline. It doesn't really do anything for me. And I am flying every which way, going to multiple locations, especially for work. So I actually fly across all of the airlines pretty evenly. But if, I had a more traditional job where I had one place that I lived and a job site that I was constantly going to, I would definitely recommend trying to figure out what airline would become your default.
We've got a question from Amy. She says, I've had the same credit card since I was 18, and while my credit has improved over time, the interest rate on that card is still pretty high. I've never tried asking to lower it because I really don't know what to say. Do I just call and ask nicely? What does the conversation actually sound like? What do you think?
So my first question is, why does the interest rate on the card matter? Because if you are
Yeah.
paying it off in full on time every month, you're not being charged interest no matter whether the interest is 1% or 100%. So I would ask, please, if you can avoid it, pay your credit card in full on time every single month. Now, if you have a balance that you're rolling, you can certainly call and ask. Just ask nicely, depending on who you get, depending on if they're running a promotion, depending on if you make some promises of like, hey, if I can get the interest down to 15% for the next 12 months, I can get this full balance paid off. Like, your credit card company might be willing to work with you. Might. Big might. I don't know, because different card offers, different financial services companies, different banks, they all have different rules. However, it never hurts to ask. My thing about the interest rate, though, is more often than not, credit cards have APRs of 20 to 30%. Regardless of where your card is issued from, you're paying a lot of interest to roll that balance. So first and foremost, you gotta try to avoid that. And if you are really, really committed to paying off that debt, it may even be wise to look into a balance transfer card or a personal loan just to get a lower interest rate so that you can get that debt paid off faster.
We've got a question from Jen. She says, I'm thinking of switching up some of my cards. I've got 4, a great credit utilization rate, and a credit score above 800, so I'm not looking to close any accounts. But some of these cards are not pulling their weight. One's for an airline I don't fly anymore, one has a fee but no benefits. How do I go to switching to better cards without triggering a hard credit inquiry or losing my account history? I've heard something about calling the bank and asking to convert an existing card. Is that a real thing? And do you have any favorite options from Chase, Amex, or Citi, the issuers I'm currently with? Gotta love a listener who clearly understands credit.
Yeah, I'm obsessed. This person sounds like they are already well on their credit journey. Like, they are doing really well. They've got a great credit score and just seem to be very creditworthy. So in terms of her 4 cards, I think she's right in the sweet spot. I typically say 3 to 5 cards is what the average person should have. I have 5. In terms of calling your credit card issuer or the bank, you got it exactly right. More often than not, what you can do is actually downgrade your fee cards to no fee cards. So in Jean's case, you took a Amex Platinum, took it down to an Amex Gold. That is a lower fee. You can also go all the way down to like an Amex Blue or an Amex like everyday cash card. These are just, no fee cards with fewer benefits. In the case of the airline that you don't fly anymore, there may even be ways that you can still utilize those benefits. So if you rack up a bunch of miles on that airline, do those airline miles actually convert maybe to an international carrier, maybe for that once in a lifetime trip to Japan or to Singapore or Thailand or wherever you want to go, or maybe somewhere fun in Europe. But like, many of these airlines actually have partners. And so even if you're not flying that airline anymore, maybe you move cities or maybe you just, you're not flying them anymore, it might be able to convert to something else that you could get a lot of value out of. But in terms of, downgrading those cards, yes, get cards that don't have fees, especially if you're not using the benefits.
And I've always felt like it's okay to close cards occasionally. Like, I'm not going to
Yeah,
close the card that I've had the longest period of time, right? I've been with
correct.
Amex for 40 years. I'm not closing my Amex relationship. But if you know that you're not applying for a mortgage or a car loan in the next 6 months to a year, yeah, your credit score is going to possibly take a little bit of a hit, but it'll come right back up.
Right.
And that is what we have for today. Vivian, I knew you were the right person to talk about this because I got the feeling that you were obsessed. So thank you so much for doing this with us again. Always a pleasure to see you. I've got to say, I point people to you all the time when folks who are giving advice on social media are criticized. And I just tell them to watch you because you clearly do your homework and your advice and your information is always top notch. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much for the kind words. I had so much fun, and it was so good to see you.
You as well. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you next time.